Hello?
Yes, Chris, thank you very much. Quite honestly, the time is already fast spent. We have less than 25 minutes to the end of the program. And it's been unfair that you haven't let us speak since the beginning of the program, in spite of our ages and in spite of the volume of response that we are supposed to make. But first, let me thank Emeka Ogwoju and all those who have helped him from Center for Memories, from Akikenga and Igbo Lagos, Igbo Intelligence, Igbo National Council, and the other young people who have joined us on this group for their selflessness, their patriotism in putting together this. I believe that this is novel. It has never happened. And without sounding immodest, I think that in this administration, we have provoked you to having something like this, because we put Ohaneze on the center table with bare hands. Everything you've been talking about here, I find very exciting. I don't want to go into Chris's paper because I will touch a bit of it as I go along. But suffice it to say that some of the verbiage of the history of Ohaneze is not completely true. In 1975-76, when Ohaneze came into power, or when Ohaneze was formed, it was about the time that Murtala Mohammed staged the coup and came back to Nigeria. It was like the revisit of the Ironsi murder, because the clique that did his coup was the clique that was responsible for the murder of Ironsi. And there was apprehension in Igbo land that if we were not well organized, we'll be in difficulty. And don't forget that the war completely decimated our socio-cultural organizations in terms of town unions and what have you. And when we came back, they began these new edicts of autonomous communities and all sorts of things, fragmenting our cultural groups and orientations, our lines of loyalty and authority, that they became diffuse. Leadership was impossible to recruit. All our fathers were accused as saboteurs and those who financed the war and who were on the side of Ojukwu. But they still had the courage to come out and organize. That meeting you referred to in Akanoibian's house, I took my father to that meeting. I drove him to that meeting. And I clerked for Chief Udoji, who took the minutes of that meeting. So I remember it very well. Their idea was, what is the position of Igbos in the country called Nigeria? You must put it to them that no matter how much you accuse the MPN of hijacking Ohaneze, without Ohaneze, Kwame would not have become vice president of Nigeria. And we faced exactly the same junction in which we are now. Zik was anxious to use NPP to acquire a negotiating power for Ndigbo. Very commendable. The rest of the people in MPN saw the constitutional provisions of making it impossible for us to be relevant to the governance of Nigeria without belonging to the party that will control a majority of the country. As God would have it, it worked for us on both sides. While the MPN won, it didn't have a parliamentary majority to work. And Igbos showed a characteristic solidarity in the engineering of the accord between the MPN and NPP. It was the best time that Igbos ever had in the democracy of Nigeria. We not only had the vice president, we had the speaker of the Federal House of Representatives, and we had ministers in very, very significant ministries, and a very strong presence in the legislature, given the NPP and the MPN alliance. We face the same road junction today. Our youths are feeling the same way we felt when the war broke out, when we felt that we had no place in this country and that we must go on our own and have secession. We tried it. All our hopes that we will get a lot of foreign assistance to struggle out the war and see that the combination of conquest and diplomacy can help us to achieve some self-determination. In between, we lost opportunity for negotiations for a confederation. But in the end, we were defeated, and consequences of defeat visited us. Now, right now, the question is, do we still have the logistics to pursue self-determination? Now, can we continue to be marginalized in the community of ethnic groups called Nigeria? It became clear to us in Ohaneze that any attempt to fight our cause without an alliance with other sections of Nigeria who felt the same way as we did would be a waste of time. It will single us out, and they use a police action and visit all kinds of inhuman reprisals on us, which will obviously get the deaf ear of the international community. So this Ohaneze pioneered the Southern and Middle Belt Leadership Forum, getting 4 zones of Nigeria out of the 6 zones to have one platform. That platform brought restructuring to the centerpiece of Nigerian discourse. It is still the trending discussion today in Nigeria. And it is because we did it that we have become relevant. Don't forget that while this was going on, we got a quick notice from northern youths to leave the north. Our people are heavily invested outside Igbo land. And wherever they are very strong business-wise, but politically weak. And their investments are therefore in very great risk. Outside Nigeria, we went to Ghana and discovered 1 million Igbos with 2 factions of Ohaneze and 2 Ndigbo. We dissolved the factions, we formed the caretaker committee, we wrote to the Ministry of Interior and withdrew recognition from the contending factions and engineered some kind of unity. Now, but you see, in all these things that we are talking about here, the best motor car built from the best Bavarian motor works cannot move without fuel. As President General Ohaneze, I have never claimed 1 kobo allowance. Nobody has paid for my petrol or for my air ticket. Nobody has paid any of my domestic staff, my drivers, my secretary, my stewards, my cooks, my security men. Even police attached to me, I pay them allowances. Now, this is like a charity organization. My children told me that they have lost a mother who is dead, and they have also lost a father who is alive. But because Ndigbo si n'ọdụ na be mmadụ, ọdụ dalbem, ndị Enugu, ọdal na Enugu, ndị Enugu esi na ọmụ ga-eji. Kedu onye na-agba ọsọ ụmụnne ya si anyị ga-ejere ozi? My happiest day will be on January 10 when I leave this job. It's been a burden, very difficult to carry. And I found it difficult to abandon it. All of you who are making contributions today, some of you have individually made intellectual contributions to Ohaneze. You have done all sorts of things. But, you know, the bottom line is that in our system today, political leadership holds both political and economic leadership. Government is too important in Nigeria. Everything is being governmentalized. You cannot become a councillor in Nigeria today unless a governor sanctions you. You can't become a local government chairman. You can't go to House of Assembly. The governor and the shareholders of the party must approve you. So Ohaneze is a bishop without a cathedral, an imam without a mosque. So we can only reflect the tabula rasa, the clean slate of the society, the moral values, the general opinion of the Igbos, but with no capacity to enforce it. Now, pari passu with this is a desire by every important Igbo man to say, if my own is not accepted, nobody's own is affected. Because of that, we have several organizations. Our youth organization is unrecognizable because there are about 5 Igbo youth organizations, only one of which is recognized by us. But all the others get 100% coverage by all the newspapers. And the impression is given that we are like silk and Bokota, you know, that we cannot be united. I have tried to keep a deaf ear to this and not respond to it, just walking through the course that I can manage without being distracted by these disparate organizations. But I can tell you the next leadership will face the same thing. You say we depend on governors' subventions, but you would like to know that as President General Ohaneze, there's a governor in the Southeast who has never taken my phone call. I don't want to embarrass him by mentioning his name, but he already knows, and we've discussed it, and he has indicated his intention to turn a new leaf. You will know that what do the governors give Ohaneze? 1 million naira a month. How many of them have given it? The only state that is not owing Ohaneze 1 naira is Enugu State. Anambra owes 9 months. Ebonyi owes 20-something months. Abia owes 30-something months. Rivers owes how many? As many months as we have been in office. Delta owes as many months as we have been in office. What is our recurrent expenditure? A minimum of 5 million a month. So I have to be begging people and taxing myself and my assets and my resources to make the difference every month. The best motor car built from the Bavarian Motor Works cannot move without fuel. The greatest problem of Ohaneze is one, finance. The second problem is the politicization of the traditional instruments that will make Ohaneze's decisions enforceably, namely the town unions, the cultural organizations, the affiliate organizations, and the town unions in outside Igbo land. Somebody had talked about the Lagos organization. It's good for you to see it as it is. But more fundamentally, the Constitution of Nigeria has made private initiative effect in areas in exclusive control of the federal government largely difficult, if not impossible. But we've decided to confront it by establishing a stabilization fund committee. The Nnia Nwodo committee is supposed to give us a governance structure by which we can now sell to the Igbos. How do we capitalize to take our destiny into our hands? Look, the world is moving away from oil, but we have alternatives. We have navigable sea paths in Obiaku, in Oguta, in Onitsha, and what have you. If we get together as a group of people and using our people in the federal government, we can obtain the necessary licenses to privatize the development of seaports. And all our people who are in Lagos will come back because they have no reason to be there. We can develop the road between Port Harcourt and Aba, between Enugu and Aba and Port Harcourt in such a way that movement of goods and services there can be optimized. We can go into agro-allied industries of gigantic capacity that will take resources into the nooks and crannies of Igbo land and give us the necessary capital to further re-engage in global economy, turning our place into the Catalonia of Nigeria or the Bayern of Nigeria in relation to Spain and Germany. There is no shortage of ideas. I mean, I've read his papers. I have discussed some of the issues in his papers with him outside of this. The will is not lacking, but the unity is not there. I am happy that Abaribe is on this. I have visited our members in the National Assembly, in the home of the Deputy President of Senate at that time. They told me they will reply me in 1 week. They have not replied me till today. And I visited them in the first year of my tenure. I am like a bishop without a cathedral. You ask me to lead you. The political class are not prepared to work with me. The traditional organizations are totally dysfunctional and politicized. My successor will face the same challenges. Unless we have a restructured federation and return the sacrosanct nature of the ballot box. Unless popular people emerge on the basis of adult suffrage, the will of people who can never be respected. It is not just an Igbo problem. It is a Nigerian and an African problem. I'm really in love with this girl called Izini. Within the balance of my tenure, I would like to challenge her if Emeka would make her particulars available to me. It is people like this that can crack the egg. Let us move to the children. If the adults can no longer fall in line, let us see what we can do with the children. Because there are a lot of easy fruits hanging down there that we can pick up. I want to promise you that from what I have heard from the Osita Obu committee, we are now going to find the formula to get out of this jigsaw. Look, unless you domesticate politics on adult suffrage that is transparent, free, and has the conscience of the people and truthfulness at its core foundations, leadership in this part of the country is a waste of time. unless you domesticate development in the hands of the private sector, motivated by the necessity to join the international highway of modern research or modern means of making money, we cannot get away from this logjam. Mark you, God has gifted us with a lot of resilience, a lot of ingenuity, and a lot of capacity to survive in very difficult situations. What we are going through now is not as bad as what we went through. I have no doubt in my mind that we will come out of it. But it will require a lot more sacrifice, like what I see from the contributions of most people who have talked here today. It is clear from everything everyone has said here that we have all reached the same point where we think that we must all redouble our efforts and do something differently. I cannot thank you enough for your participation and your continued support. I pledge that I will do the best I can within the next 3.5 months that I have to be in this saddle. But I need support like the kind Emeka Ugwoju and his friends have done tonight. I wish we can continue this discussion, and in doing so, mobilize the conscience of our people to understand that together we stand strong, and divided will be mutilated one by one. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, PG. Whenever you speak from Ibadan days, I know after your speech, nobody can add a word. Thanks. And on that note, the panel, I say thank you very much for your very, very insightful, profound contributions. Senator Anyanwu, I think, took her leave, so the panelists were grateful. And Sir Chris Okoye, your paper...